Hello. Broadcasting to you live from the Orion spiral arm of the Milky Way galaxy, the solar system, planet Earth, North America, the United States of America, somewhere protected by a big ocean, but someday will be threatened by a dictator overseas. My name is Brian Engelman. Today is Monday, March 3rd, 2025. And this is the Agree to Disagree show here on the new American media because the old American media has failed you. How did you like that? How did you like when Zelensky threatened us? Did you enjoy that? You have big ocean, but soon you will know. What do you mean soon I will know? Get out of here. Don't tell me what I'm going to feel. I love that response. And if you love that response too, hit like, hit subscribe, hit the share button, hit the hearts, hit whatever you need to hit. Zelensky, your daughters and sons will be dying over here. No, we're not. No, we're not. No, don't threaten us. Ugh. Don't fucking threaten us. Not a fan of Zelensky. Never have been.
25.
So you give me 250 billions more. How about no? Hey, funny man, take your clown act. Go away. Go away. You go hang out with Vindman, Newland, Obama, Biden. You go hang out with the creeps that got you into this mess, not us. Don't blame us for what you got into trouble. What do you got into trouble? Don't blame us because you made the mistake of trusting the dirty deep state Democrats and got your ass into a world of hurt. We're going to talk about, should President Trump pull out of NATO? What were the questions of the day? I had them listed. I've changed the format of the show, and so it's a little, well, how about this? How about less talk? Let's just jump into the news. But by the way, leave your comments. Your comments are fantastic. I love when you get to jump into the chat room and I can incorporate your conversation into the show. So let's talk about this right here. For all of you wondering, Rob Jenkins really sums it up. By the way, this is from our Instagram feed. Follow The New American Media on Instagram and on Facebook, our page on Facebook. The New American Media on Truth Social. The New American Media on Patreon, if you'd like to become a donor. Also, you could go to Fuzz Installment on PayPal, Venmo at BrianEngelman, Cash App, $BrianEngelman. The New American Media is also on Rumble, and about 1,700, maybe 1,800 videos are up on YouTube over the past 14 years. Subscribe over there. We are on Spotify and iTunes with our show, our podcast, The Agree to Disagree Show, also our sports show, The Unhappy Hour Sports Show. And we're on Telegram and Signal at TNAM and TNAM Chat. Rob Jenkins here sums this up pretty nicely. If Putin isn't stopped, he says, if Putin is not stopped, all of Europe could succumb to totalitarianism. People could be jailed for social media posts. They could be threatened with arrest for praying in their homes. Rape gangs and child traffickers could run rampant. It's all too awful to contemplate. Rob Jenkins, this goes out to you. A real American hero. They changed the advertisement. They went to a real man of genius. That is what's happened to Europe. That's what we don't embrace. Well, we're partners, but you disagree with all of our core values, and you allow your countries to get invaded by non-residents of your country, and you're going to come here and lecture us what we must and must not do? Get the fork out of town, please. Deuces, Keir Stormer. Adios, Zelensky. I love that post, so I wanted to share that with you. All right. Let's get into the news of the day. What's this story? Let's see the post. There we go. It's really not possible to point this out loudly enough, says this meme. And if you follow the New American Media on Instagram, you'll get these memes every day in our stories section at the top of the screen. You will have more laughs. You will be more well-informed. You will be able to debunk lousy arguments faster and more brutally, with more efficiency and severe violence of verbal acumen. You'll be slicing and dicing bad opinions verbally, mentally, philosophically. Anyway, Lisa's giving a speech here, and she says, it's not possible to point this out loudly enough. When the media is behind your movement, you aren't the resistance. So make sure your Democrat friends know this. There, we're going to say, tell a Democrat friend in need. Politics, here we go. Zuby is a good follow. Make sure you're following him. He says, politics can rot people's brains to the point that they'll oppose good ideas if they come from the wrong people and support bad ideas if they come from the right people. Man, oh man. I was having a conversation with somebody the other day. It's an enjoyable conversation. And I mentioned something about Bobby Kennedy, and this person goes, all right, you brought up Bobby Kennedy. I got to know, did you vote for Trump? I go, yeah, twice. Did you? This person goes and called their friends over, and it's like, yeah, do you know this guy? All right, you need to go. I'm like, huh? Yeah, I was standing here when you guys walked up, so y'all can go, weirdos. That was awesome. It was so cringe. It was so weird. Imagine being so triggered by Trump that you have to call in reinforcements and then try to get the person that was standing there first to get out of that space. It was so weird. I shared a video. Where did I share it? On Instagram or X, maybe it was Facebook. But it was a confrontation in line waiting to pick up prescriptions. I bet you're a Trump voter, aren't you? I bet you're a Trump voter, aren't you? Yeah, twice. No, I'm sorry, 3 times. Oh my gosh, I think I said twice. I meant 3 times. Here's a question of the day. Type it in the comments. Would you vote for President Trump a 3rd time? They're floating the idea. They're also floating the idea to put President Trump on the $100 bill. Hey, that sounds kind of cool, actually. You know, we always wait until people are gone to give them some accolades. People talk about that all the time. If you go to a funeral, you go to a wake. Oh, this person did this and that, and they praise and they praise and they praise. And it's like, did you ever praise that person while they were with us? Or do you always wait until they're gone? Who watched the Oscars yesterday? I watched the Oscars yesterday. I am a massive Conan O'Brien fan. He made me laugh. I watched the show. I'd only seen one of the movies. But then they came out and said that there's requirements to be nominated for best movie, which means you're not getting the best movie because you've narrowed down the list. The DEI didn't earn it. You have such a narrow focus that you eliminate all the potential for the other opportunities that could have actually been the real movie of the year. So that's interesting. But yeah, Zuby kind of nails it right here. Politics can rot people's brains to the point that they'll oppose good ideas if they come from the wrong people and support bad ideas if they come from the right people. That feels about right to me. All right, next. Did you see this one? Who did this? Who did this? Trump and Zelensky sitting in the Oval Office, and they put Uno cards into their hands. Where's the volume? Here we go.
Are not in a very good position. You've allowed yourself to be in a very bad position, and he happens to be right about it.
From the very beginning of the war.
You're not in a good position. You don't have the cards right now. You're right now not in a very good position. You've allowed yourself to be in a very bad position, and he happens to be right about it.
From the very beginning of the war.
You're not in a good position. You don't have the cards right now. You're right now not in a very...
I'm sorry, whoever did this. You win the internet. I'm not playing cards. You're playing cards. You're gambling with World War III. You're gambling with nuclear war. Because he is. Spirit of Defiance puts this out. You know, look, we're re-examining everything about the American way of life. Let's ask these questions. These statements, do you agree or disagree? Income tax is wrong. You shouldn't be fined for earning a living. Property tax is wrong. You shouldn't be forced to pay to keep living in a home that you already own. Sales tax is wrong. You shouldn't be forced to pay someone to allow you to buy something. Capital gains tax is wrong. You shouldn't be punished for investing in your family's financial future. Inheritance tax is wrong. Your heirs shouldn't be robbed because you died. Yeah, can we sign up for a real great American reset under Trump? It's time. There we go. That's the comment I left on that post. This is the thing I was telling you about. These threats from Zelensky, if they don't make your blood boil, you see these videos of them kidnapping all these men in Ukraine to throw them into a meat grinder for a war that never should have happened. They should have never been creeping with NATO forces up onto Russia's border like that. They knew better. Zelensky didn't know better. He was a comic that the deep state put in charge. And they used him. Ya used me, Skinner. Ya used me. There's no such thing as Scotchtoberfest. Listen to him threaten you and the people you love right here.
The U.S. will have to send their sons and daughters exactly the same way as we are sending their sons and daughters to war. And they will have to fight because it's NATO that we're talking about, and they will be dying. The U.S. will have to...
You're not a NATO nation. No. No, we will not. I do not like being threatened. Do you know what I saw? On the Oscars yesterday, they were talking about how the Gladiator movie came out 25 years ago. 25 years ago? Is this real? That was a long time ago. And here's the character from that movie putting his hand out and then thumbs down. When I get a friend's request from someone with "I stand with Ukraine" in their bio, and it thumbs down. Grab all these memes. Make sure you follow the New American Media on Instagram. Here is the Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk. Take a listen. Sounds like he gets it.
Proszę Państwa, jest taki paradoks i...
Ladies and gentlemen, there's a paradox, and someone has already overlooked it. Just listen to this. Oh, hold on. There we go.
Ktoś słusznie zauważył, że... I zobaczcie, jak to brzmi. 500 milionów Europejczyków...
500 million Europeans are asking 300 million Americans to defend them against 140 million Russians. I want to repeat these words. You can read it on the screen there.
Liczyć na siebie. Nie w odosobnieniu, ale...
If you know how to count, count on yourself. Start relying on yourself, not in isolation, but with full awareness of your own
Z
potential.
pełną świadomością własnego potencjału. Europa, jeśli czegoś dzisiaj nam...
Europe, if there's something we lack today, it is not economic or demographic power, but the belief that we are truly a global force.
Brakuje. To przecież nie przewagi gospodarczej czy ludnościowej, tylko wiary w to, że jesteśmy naprawdę globalną potęgą. Proszę Państwa, jest taki paradoks i ktoś słusznie zauważył, że...
And we just said, make it make sense. America is done being taken advantage of. Negotiate peace already. Here you go. Zelensky has an offer to the American people. This is my spirit animal.
Zelensky has an offer for the American people and says that we'll be sending our children to fight in the war in Ukraine and Russia. I've got a counter offer to that. Why don't you take a 40-something-year-old war veterans that have already been there and done that, round us all up and send us in our children's place. But there's one catch. When my boots hit the ground in Ukraine, I won't be going after Russians. I'm coming to see you, sir, for threatening to take my children's lives on a battlefield for a war that I didn't want to be part of in the first place.
This is a war that I didn't want to be a part of in the first place. You're not sucking me into this.
I think I speak for most Americans when I say, you can kick rocks, pal. Zelensky has an offer.
There you go. This dude is our spirit animal right now. Enough is enough. Don't ever threaten us. Don't ever threaten us. Zelensky. Man, I need a tan. I look washed out. It's been a long winter. I'm like matching my shirt. I was really tan 6 months ago. I love this guy. Great energy. Great energy. Did you see this? This was really bizarre. Ariana Grande said that Brighter Days Clinic, they gave her a mind eraser treatment that wiped her memory. What?
To me, so I'm having trouble remembering the details. They're foggy because at the Brighter Days Clinic, they do the memory erasure, you know?
So did Ariana Grande just admit that she's going to a clinic, some Hollywood celebrity clinic that erases her memories? I mean, that seems like concerning.
The memory erasure, they erase my memories. It's a little foggy, but...
If you could remember, struggle, tell me, give me a date. Give me a date.
You know what? I'll have to go back to the clinic and see if they can restore my memory.
Is it going to be soon?
So I decided to do a quick deep dive into this
This is really bizarre.
clinic that she has been going to.
It's like that movie Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. Jim Carrey and the girl from Titanic, Rose.
That's affecting her memory. I mean, I just can't imagine why you would want to go and erase these memories unless she's just like overstimulated, being worked to death. This seems like a standard celebrity clinic when you look at it, like on their website. They don't want to tell you too much, but you know how easily this becomes something like a cult, and we have a lot of that in California.
Erasure treatment to me, so I'm having trouble remembering the details. They're foggy.
Weird. Kate Winslet is the name I was trying to remember.
Looking at their website, it seems like they focus a lot on mental health, but they also specialize in drug treatment and a bunch of other things. It looks like a very expensive place to go to. I just had no idea Ariana Grande was going and getting treatments there. Honestly, I just hope that she's okay because that was a bizarre response. I mean, you must admit it. Follow me for more and...
Yeah, it was bizarre. Something's coming tomorrow night. President Trump tweeted this out at 7:39 in the morning. Tomorrow night will be big. I will tell it like it is. They said, sir, are you gonna say all the things that you're thinking? I said, I am just gonna tell it like it is. So what's he gonna say? He's gonna be addressing Congress, a joint session. Will he be leaving NATO? Curious to find out. According to Live from America TV here, Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth ordered a pause on all U.S. cyber operations against Russia, including offensive actions. Okay, can we confirm or deny that? Toria Brooke reporting that President Donald Trump is expected to meet with top advisors to discuss ending or canceling U.S. military aid to Ukraine.
Did you see...
All right, so... in response to General Flynn's podcast remarks that former FBI Director James Comey is going to jail unless he gives up someone deeper than himself, Elon responded, it seems like there's been some very shady stuff going on.
General Flynn, he was on a podcast, and he spoke directly to James Comey.
Yeah.
He said, Jim, you're going to jail, and unless you give up someone deeper than you, and you know who that is? You know who I'm talking about? Like that.
Yeah, it's Obama. Obama's been behind all this.
That is wild.
Yeah.
To think that the former director of the FBI might be really in that kind of deep shit. Then
Yeah, he obviously is.
He really actually was doing some evil, corrupt shit while he was running the FBI?
I mean, it seems like there's some very shady stuff that's been going on.
We're going to find out. This is an unfortunate story. A car has plowed. No. A man smashed a car into a crowd of people. A car didn't plow. Who was driving the car? Let's see if we have an update. What's the hang on. There we go. Car attack. Germany. What do we know? What's the latest? A black Ford Fiesta rammed into a crowd in Mannheim, killing at least 2, a man in his 50s and a woman. 10 injured. God. Oh, come on. A mass stabbing in Ireland, as well as a car terror attack in Germany. Oh, jeez, that was gruesome. Terrorist that recently came back from Germany, where he was radicalized, stabbed several people in Haifa, Israel. 1 dead, 3 injured. What is this video? Kind of trying to unpack. Yeah, car driven into a car didn't. Oh, come on. Oh, I didn't want to see that. Okay, I'm not going to keep looking here. Looks like some potential new terror attacks in Europe. Europe, don't lecture us about a GD thing, all right? Fix yourself. Restore freedom of speech. Give your people weapons again. Kick out the people that are not residents of your country. Do it. Don't ever lecture us. Keir Starmer. Get the hell out of here. Stay the hell out of here. Just be careful, people. Wherever you're out and about, just keep your ears open, keep your head up, keep your head on a swivel. Don't bury yourself in your phone and make yourself an easy target. Something feels off, sounds off. Just be ready. What is this now? BRICS News. Saudi Arabia condemned Israel's decision to block aid into Gaza. Kingdom is calling on international community to put an end to these serious Israeli violations, ensure international accountability, resume continuous delivery of aid.
This explains.
Okay. Why did NBC not air the full version of this interview with President Trump? Does President Trump get enough credit for this or not?
That's why NBC didn't air the full version of this interview with President Trump.
Are you planning to accept a salary as president?
I'm not going to accept a salary, no. And I'm giving up a lot of money, you know. Do you know, it amazed me, maybe this isn't right, but other than George Washington, and they're not sure about that, every president has accepted their salary except me.
And you did accept the pension, correct?
I don't think so.
You didn't accept your pension?
I don't think I accepted anything. The president gets about $450,000 a year, and I didn't take it.
I want to ask you again about...
By the way, I got no credit for that. That's okay.
Well, I am asking you about it for that reason.
Yeah.
And I think it's notable you're not going to accept a salary.
Yeah, I don't accept. I'm not. Yeah. I didn't, and I'm not going to. And I don't believe I got any credit for that. But I just feel it's, for me, it's a nice thing to do.
This explains why.
I didn't see this. Now I could be wrong if this actually did air somewhere. If it didn't, you got to wonder why. That was definitely worth airing. Here's a clip from Dan Bongino talking about all of the fraud. You know, look, we're still waiting on the doggone Epstein list. And look, yesterday was your chance, world. Pam Bondi. I'm ready to call for Pam Bondi's resignation or firing. She had a job to do to deliver that Epstein list, and whatever you gave those social media influencers in a binder was an insult to all of us who've been waiting 6 years for this story. 6 years you've been protecting these monsters. The only way it would have been better, assuming there's a whole bunch of people from Hollywood on the list, was to do counter programming, to launch a live feed from the White House during the Oscars and have Ricky Gervais unveil the names of the people who were implicated in the Epstein Island case during the Oscars. Unveil it like it's the March Madness, 16 teams from each bracket. Give us 64 of the most notable names from the list and run it live. Everybody would have peeled their attention away from the Oscars and onto that reveal. Ricky Gervais hosting, talking trash about child abusers, bringing the whole system down. That would have been awesome. That would have been incredible. Sadly, that did not happen. Wish it did, but it didn't. I'm going to say join us live. Right? No. Putting this out on Facebook so people can see it. Okay, so we're trying to get the Epstein list. We're figuring out what to do with NATO. And Doge is maybe uncovering over $1 trillion in Social Security fraud. Here's Dan Bongino.
Discovered a foreign fraud ring in our entitlement programs. Folks, even if you are not against government waste, and you love government waste, I should say, not to use a negative there to describe it. If you're for government waste, at least waste it here, right? If you're going to waste government money and piss it away in a toilet bowl, at least waste it on U.S. citizens. Nope. They found nobody cares on the left. Watch this.
As we know, there's a massive amount of fraud in this country. You have, for example, foreign fraud rings. These are foreign nationals who come into the United States. They use fake Social Security numbers. They use fake identities to steal billions in taxpayer benefits. There's no way to know until Doge gains full access exactly how much money we're talking about. But over a 10-year normal budget window, you could be talking about saving over $1 trillion by clamping down on massive fraud in our tax and entitlement systems, including, again, those carried out by organized fraud and theft rings. A very important point in all this is to understand that Doge are subordinate staffers of the federal government. They are political appointees, just like me, just like everyone else in the White House, that serve and answer to the president. So we're not talking about an outside private entity. We're talking about the existing federal staff of the federal government performing their statutory and constitutional duty.
Can you imagine fighting this?
How much fraud has been wasted since 1963 when Kennedy was shot? And the deep state really felt invincible at that point.
He discovered a foreign fraud ring in our entitlement programs. Folks, even if you are not against government waste, and you love government waste, I should say, not to use a negative there to describe it. If you're for government waste, at least waste it here, right? If you're going to waste government money and piss it away in a toilet bowl, at least waste it on U.S. citizens.
Yeah.
Nope. They found nobody cares on the left. Watch this.
Oh, it's the same. Sorry. Yeah, Instagram does that. All right. So the real state of America here is saying Thomas Massie, a non-APAC funded candidate, recently said, the fact that the Epstein files haven't been released yet demonstrates that the president doesn't yet have operational control of the Department of Justice and the FBI. So what are they doing? Why didn't you send the Marines in? There's reports that they're deleting data. Why didn't you shut the building down and send everybody in there to Guantanamo Bay for interrogation? Who is in charge? What's Cash doing? I'd really like Cash and Pam to send me an email. Send me an email with 5 things you were doing last week. I want that damn list. What a massive failure. I am so down on Pam Bondi. I can't even put it into words. Yep, there you go, Thomas Massie. It could take a while to establish, or with his first term, it might never be established, that the president may not have control of the Department of Justice and FBI. Thomas Massey continues, NATO is a Cold War relic that needs to be relegated to a talking kiosk at the Smithsonian. Based Mike Lee is saying, get us out of NATO. And we'll say, it's time to replace Bondi if she is unwilling to indict the people getting in the way. I couldn't say that much more strongly than I am saying it now. Just here's a reminder of J.D. Vance, how we got here. The same J.D. that put Zelensky in his place.
For this interview, the New York Times realized that J.D. Vance was not going to let them lie and spread fake news about illegal immigration.
Let's say you were successful in carrying out those mass deportations.
And I remember watching this when it first came out, and I loved his answer.
One thing that everyone agrees on is that more housing is necessary in this country, right? The reason that there is a housing crisis is that not enough houses have been built.
And that we have 25 million people who shouldn't be here.
Well, I mean, this is the thing. About a third of the...
You take 25 million people who shouldn't be here away, you have 25 million more residences available for American people to live. That's... What a disingenuous, lousy argument from that lady.
Construction workforce in this country is Hispanic. Of those, a large portion are undocumented. So how do you propose to build all the housing necessary by removing all the people who are working in construction?
The 7 million prime age men. You have millions of women prime age who have dropped out of the labor force. People say, well, Americans won't do those jobs. Americans won't do those jobs for below the table wages. Why try to re-engage an American citizen in a good job if you can just import somebody from Central America who's going to work under the table for poverty wages? It is a disgrace, and it has led to the evisceration of the American middle class.
After this interview, the New York Times...
We said, thank you, J.D. Vance. Remove 25 million people illegally in the United States and 25 million housing facilities open up. Boom. Housing crisis solved. How about this? Eric Daugherty. How do I pronounce that? Breaking Honda to now build the Civic model in Indiana, not Mexico, because of Trump's tariffs, according to Reuters. That's 210,000 Civics per year. Make American, make products consumed by Americans in America again. Gentry says we need to make these tariffs permanent. Yeah, let's bring the manufacturing back. Make products consumed by Americans in America again. I might have been able to say that a little more clearly, but I digress. Hans Manke. Agree, disagree with this. One big reason they don't want this war to end, especially not while Trump is around, is because too many inconvenient truths will come out. The Maidan massacre was a false flag. Confirmation that U.S. orchestrated the 2014 coup in Ukraine, including Biden and U.S. aid's role. Open admission that Biden fired the prosecutor to shield his family racket. Proof that Ukraine took out Trump's campaign manager with a smear. By the way, I'll add another one. Weren't there Ukrainian ties to that second shooter that was trying to take out President Trump on a golf course in Florida? I think he was a super Ukrainian guy. Proof that Ukraine took out Trump's campaign manager with a smear. It would come out how Zelensky coordinated with Democrats in the Ukraine impeachment scam. People would find out where the missing $100 billion actually went. We'd find out Alexander Vindman's coordination with top Ukrainian officials against Trump. We'd find out how the Minsk Accords were deliberately breached. And we find out new details of the CIA's extensive activities in Ukraine. Bring darkness to light. Button. Any of those you disagree with?
Did you see General Flynn?
I did play this. I wonder if it goes any longer this time.
He was on a podcast and he spoke directly to James Comey.
Jim, if you get this message, start thinking about what you're gonna give up, because you're gonna give up some of your freedom because you're gonna go to jail. You must go to jail because of what you did. but maybe they'll cut you a little bit of a deal, and they'll put you in a softer prison for a shorter period of time because you're able to give up some evidence on some of these other people who are even more deeper than you involved in this. Because Jim, you know exactly who I'm talking about.
Like, that is wild.
Yeah.
To think that the former director of the FBI might be really in that kind of deep shit, and then he really actually was doing some evil, corrupt shit while he was running the FBI.
I mean, it seems like there's some very shady stuff that's been going on.
Did you see?
Yeah, that was mostly the same quote, but at least that one had the clip from Flynn that he was talking about. I appreciated that. Ahmed Y. Amjed Y. Says Keir Starmer announced that Britain is ready to send boots on the ground and planes in the air to Ukraine, and says Europe must step up. You want to know why I voted for Trump? Kamala would undoubtedly have joined Britain in that dangerous rhetoric and caused the U.S. to enter that conflict. I'm 22 years old. It would have been my friends and I fighting in another foreign war with nothing to do with the United States. Time to end these pointless, deep state, demonic, Democrat wars already. It is. What's going on in Myrtle Beach?
New details tonight on plans to turn Myrtle Beach into Meta Beach. It's all part of making the city a smart city using new advanced technology. Our Allie has been.
So we're combining these two stories. Over 175 wildfires have scorched more than 4,200 acres across South Carolina, with one of the main areas being Myrtle Beach. It's just a coincidence they had smart city plans to turn Myrtle Beach into Meta Beach. Right?
Espinosa joins us live from downtown Myrtle Beach tonight, and Allie, city staff are actually calling this the fourth industrial revolution. Talk about the ultimate upgrade. So what does that mean for us here in Myrtle Beach?
Rachel, the overall goal is to improve our quality of life here in Myrtle Beach, and city staff say they're working to do that through new technology, and it's all starting right here in downtown Myrtle Beach.
Myrtle Beach.
It's the second fastest growing city in the entire country. From its 60-mile beach to hosting one of the biggest country music festivals, Myrtle Beach is no doubt an area that has a lot to offer, and plans to bring it to the next level are ahead.
What we're looking to do, or what we're trying to do here, is create an urban environment where technology can help us improve our experiences, whether it's the services you receive from your local government, the experiences you have as a tourist in our town or a visitor in our town, but also, how we conduct business with our businesses.
Myrtle Beach Chief Innovation Officer Howard Waldy IV says he's been working to make Myrtle Beach a smart city since March of 2022. They're teaming up with Jennifer Hotai, co-founder of Osverse and Grand Strand Web3 Guild. Their teams are wanting to make the city more advanced to improve the quality of life for you and your family and any Myrtle Beach visitors.
There should be, a virtual 3D room that you can go and experience and be able to interact, see the menus in 3D, be able to go and experience the history of, this of South Carolina, etc. Go and have interactive experiences. I think that is something this whole state in general is lacking, but especially Myrtle Beach, it really should pop out a lot more.
Through more advanced tourism attractions and safety measures like acoustic detection systems, which can detect the sound of gunshots, which have already been approved, the city of Myrtle Beach is working to keep up with what's ahead.
Cell phones. Back in the 80s and the 90s, right, you had the original telephone. Some people had that phone in the briefcase, and now we all carry around these mobile devices that are smaller, but they're essentially computers at our fingertips. Smart cities technology is no different. It's just the next phase of technological evolution.
And right here behind me, the city is hosting an event called Fast Fest, where they're providing free information about smart cities to the community. This event goes until 6 o'clock tonight.
So the theory is, what we put here in the comments, instead of an iron dome over America, we need a blue roof dome to stop all these intentional fires that have now decimated Maui, Pacific Palisades, and Myrtle Beach. This is madness. They want to reimagine these areas. And what do? The easiest way to rebuild is to destroy. Doesn't it feel intentional? I don't know if it is intentional, but it feels intentional. Maui, Palisades, Myrtle Beach, beach. There's only so many beach areas in the United States, and now 3 of them are gone. I want to see the extent of the damage there in South Carolina. This feels like madness, honestly. Speaking of madness, here's Adam Schiff. Why has he not been indicted?
Well, there's a meeting in the White House of the leader.
Talking to Joe Scarborough, another guy who might be on the list.
Leader of the free world, and Donald Trump is also going to be there because sadly, he's not the leader of the free world. It's turning, the administration is turning American foreign policy into a kind of protection.
By the way, Kenneth, that's why I highlighted your comment. Murder Beach. That's chef's kiss. That was the one. Oh, here's our friend T. What up, T? Is T going to stick around and offer anything other than copy paste? T, do you engage in conversations or just copy paste what you're told to? And you take a screenshot, a screen grab, and then you get paid 10, 15 bucks for showing up and jumping into this conversation. Gorbachev was told in 1990 NATO wasn't going east, and they keep creeping east. There's red lines. Ukraine is not going to be a NATO nation. They're putting NATO weapons all up on the border. The U.S. overthrew Ukraine in 2014. Remember when the United States did that? Yeah, T is a pain. T-pain. We wouldn't want weapons gathering in Ontario looking at Detroit. We wouldn't want them in Cuba looking at Florida. Russia certainly doesn't want them in Ukraine. After all the Ukraine being one of the most corrupt places on earth. Yeah, I mean, what's T? Why don't you sign up to go serve over there? You can. They need people. They're conscripting. They're kidnapping all the men they can find off the streets. Why don't you go serve? How much money have you donated? You want to make a personal donation? Make a personal donation. I don't want it for our country. You do you. T is a pain. T-pain. Oh, Adam Schiff.
Racket. So I'm deeply concerned about this and the fact that in the run-up to this meeting, the administration has so badly betrayed our Ukraine ally and our NATO allies, blaming Ukraine for the war, calling Zelensky a dictator, and then demanding mineral rights to not even provide a security guarantee, but essentially to maintain good favor with the president. And I just have never felt such shame about.
The man who feels no shame has never felt such shame. Oh, that's rich, pal. Oh, that's so rich.
American policy before, and I don't know how our allies trust us after this.
Oh, how do they trust us after we overthrow Ukraine in 2014 and then convince them they should join a forever war that's not going to go anywhere? Huh? What about that, huh?
In terms of what I can hope for out of this meeting, I can only hope the president doesn't betray our ideals more than he has already, that Ukraine isn't forced to give up something for nothing, that nothing the president says or does in this meeting is going to further undermine Ukraine's position in any negotiation that goes on. I have to think that Zelensky is coming to this meeting in an effort to try to right the relationship and by trying to give up something for the goodwill of the president, because it certainly doesn't appear like he's getting much in this deal by way of a real security guarantee.
So, Senator,
well, there's a meeting in the White House.
Yeah. Hey, Pam Bondi, where are your indictments against Schiff already? If he was indicted, he wouldn't be out there pushing this crap. Here's Zelensky.
No, it can't be so. 100 billions we've got during 3 years. 183 from the U.S. Now, on the paper, in the documents, yes, but we have, in fact, because 67 came like a weapon. It came through the border. It's checked and it's fixed by everybody, and we shared it not once with the American side. And 31.5, it was direct financial support to the budget. Again, it's very open. It's digitalized. It's open, free, and please, if somebody wants to check it again, we are very, very open with this. Last military equipment. No, it can't be so. 100 billions.
Elon said it's time to find out what really happened to the hundreds of billions of dollars sent to Ukraine. Let's look at Biden first to see where all the missing Ukraine money went. That's what I have to say. This is Arthur C. Brooks.
A statistic in my field is that today 1 in 6 Americans is not talking to a family member because of politics.
I'm telling you, I was having a normal conversation with somebody, and they just had a meltdown. Did you vote for Trump? Yeah. Didn't you? And they called in their friends to kind of gang up around to try to bully and intimidate me and make me feel weird. I'm like, y'all are acting weird. It was weird and it was funny. Like, all right, you can go. I'm like, I can go. I was the one that was here. You guys are the ones that came up. You can go. Take your weirdness with you. This guy's saying people aren't even talking to their friends and family, let alone, brand new people that we're just now meeting. It's pretty astonishing, really. It's weird. David saying that Adam Schiff is an a-hole. Yes, he is. Kenneth, did he what? Did who do what?
Shocking to me that we're falling for this bill of goods that's being sold to us by powerful people who are profiting from our hate. When you hate and you have a schism in your family, somebody's profiting and it's not you. Don't let that happen to you, because there's only one reason to have a disconnect with your family members, and that's abuse. Differences of opinion are not abuse. We need to solve this. Now, some people have more problems with this than others. Find a way to help others with it. And if you're suffering from this, fix it, because you need the happiness and so does your family. The saddest statistic in my field is that today 1 in 6 Americans.
Oh, the comment we put is, how can we fix the broken brains of the Democrats who've been brainwashed by the lies of their teachers, CNN, MSNBC, and others? Being Libertarian here, shared by D and Fringe, says, watching Ron Paul's 2008 philosophy being understood in 2025 by the current president is wild. Ron Paul once wrote, we need to worry about our borders here at home, not worry about the borders around the world and the border between Syria and Iraq. That doesn't have anything to do with our national security. We have to deal with our own national security. Our military right now is in shambles because we've been stretched too thin. One of these days, we're going to have to wake up, and I'm afraid we won't wake up until we go bankrupt. And we're approaching that time already. Donald Trump, his statement was, we should spend less time worrying about Putin and more time worrying about migrant rape gangs, drug lords, murderers, and people from mental institutions entering our country so that we don't end up like Europe. Man, that's gorgeous. All right, so I'm going to say, so to all the libertarian naysayers who thought that Dr. Paul's message went unheard, enjoy how President Trump is getting a few things right. That Biden, Obama, Harris would have certainly screwed up. Take the W, libertarians. Take the W. Who had that on your bingo card that Trump was going to become a Ron Paul revolution kind of guy? I got a few here from Muckraking Media. Pay close attention to who defends Zelensky and who defends America. Primary these people if they don't put America first. Here's Bill Clinton here with Vladimir Putin. Clinton met Putin in 2000, said he had ability and ambitions, honorable intentions, though he worried about democracy. This is from a call with Tony Blair, later covered in 2020 articles from the Clinton Library transcripts. Bill Clinton called Putin reliable in 2013, saying he was smart and kept his word in deals they made, like arms agreements in 2000. It's praise, not a full endorsement. From Piers Morgan interview. Diplomatic support in 2000. At a Moscow press conference, Clinton said he'd help Putin succeed in building a better Russia. It was about cooperation, not cheering for Putin personally. That's from the Clinton White House archives. In later reflection, in a 2022 talk, Clinton recalled thinking Putin was smart and honest early on and had potential to read Russia well. He later saw he was wrong about that. You know, everyone's ganging on Trump and Vance. Oh, he's a Putin puppet, Putin puppet, Putin puppet. Shut up. Trying to navigate a peace arrangement means you're pro-Russia. Like, can you get a dumber argument, please? Look, in the regulatory world, I know I've had to do this, and it's stupid. It doesn't make sense. I don't like it. The Treasury Department has announced that they're suspending all enforcement of the outrageous and invasive beneficial ownership information, BOI, reporting requirements for U.S. citizens. The Biden rule has been an absolute disaster for small businesses nationwide. Furthermore, Treasury is now finalizing an emergency regulation to formally suspend this rule for American businesses. The economic menace of BOI reporting will soon be no more. And there you go. That's from the Treasury Department. Oh, my God. This is what the Federal Reserve did to your money. Inflation is why you were broke. The end. A 1 ounce U.S. gold coin in 2020 would get you $1,770. A 1 ounce gold coin in 1933 was $20. You don't hate the Federal Reserve private banking cartel nearly enough. Dismantle them. End them. Speaking of Dr. Ron Paul, it's amazing how it took a Democrat from New York named Donald Trump to finally start pushing through some of these Ron Paul revolution, super obvious policy positions. It's wild. USAID has cut more than $600,000 of funding that it was sending to the British LGB advocacy group per Daily Mail. 600 grand to a British LGB group. Donald Trump tomorrow night will be big. I will tell it like it is. So we're going to tune into that tomorrow night. That's for damn sure. Maybe do a live reaction. Maybe, maybe not. Let me think about that one. Says we have to be careful what we pass and do because they will turn around and do it to us in 4 years. That's a loser mentality. This is America, the promised land. And I'm not deciding anything about my life or the future of this country with the fear of Democrats. And I like that. Missouri State Senate put a bill before them which would introduce $1,000 rewards for individuals who identify undocumented immigrants who are subsequently taken into custody. Well, there you have it. Dog the bounty hunter. There we go. Ed Davey says people have had enough of Elon Musk interfering with our country's democracy when he clearly knows nothing about Britain. And this is the video of him. Let's let that sink in. He's walking in with the sink. Elon responds, "What exactly do I fail to understand about your failure to stop the mass rape of little girls in Britain, you sniveling cretin?" Thanks, Elon. Go pound sand. UK. Europe. I know Europe's a little big. Why is Zelensky being spelled with two Y's sometimes? I don't like it. I don't like it. It's wrong. I am not a fan. Russell Brand says Zelensky has stated that the end of Ukraine's war with Russia is very, very far away. Trump's response: "This is the worst statement that could have been made by Zelensky. This is the worst statement that could have been made by Zelensky, and America will not put up with it for much longer." There you go. It is what I was saying. This guy doesn't want to be there for peace as long as he has America's backing. And Europe, in the meeting they had with Zelensky, stated flatly that they cannot do the job without the United States. Probably not a great statement to have been made in terms of a show of strength against Russia. What are they thinking? End of war, very, very far away. Likelihood of you stealing more money from United States, very, very far away. Michael Schellenberger says, Zelensky says he wants the war to end, but he's not acting like it. Friday, he dismissed the U.S. ceasefire as unworkable. Saturday, he had European leaders affirm his position, and now he says the end of the war is very, very far away. It feels like we're getting played. If Zelensky's strategy is to alienate the American people and the president they just elected one day before he addresses Congress, it's working. Even The Guardian now gets it. On Friday in the Oval Office, Zelensky contested Trump's stance. The Ukrainian president stated flatly, "We will never accept just a ceasefire. It will not work without security guarantees." Zelensky maintained that strong security guarantees had to come from the U.S., not just Europe. A European military force, he said, would not work unless the U.S. provided a significant backdrop. They need USA. In short, Zelensky insisted he would not agree to a ceasefire because Russia would not honor it unless the U.S. provided precisely what Trump had seemingly already ruled out. So what were they even wasting all their time there for? Disingenuous negotiators are some of the worst people you can run into. Reminder, people who have a hidden list of child rapists, people who have hidden a list of child rapists from you for half a decade, they need those taxes in the mail by April 15th. Fun reminder. Good morning to everyone who knows we've sent more money to Israel this year than Doge has saved us. Ugh. Hey, 5 years ago, this was the last normal week of our lives. It's been a half decade, you guys. Ali Zek says, hey, did we get resolution on the millions that died or were injured by the shots? No. Did we get resolution and justice for what happened in Maui or Appalachia? No. Did we get resolution for what happened in Los Angeles with the fires? No. Did we get resolution for the fraudulent war in Iraq and Afghanistan? No. Did we see justice happen for the ethnic cleansing of Palestinians in Gaza? No. So what makes you think we'll ever see justice from the Epstein victims, from the people that oversaw all those things? The state of is it real? I think John B. Wells calls it the state of isn't real. Every time I say is real, I'm like, no, not Israel, is real. But it really kind of sounds the same. Legal Man says we are now 6 weeks into the Trump administration and not one single person of any note has even been charged, let alone arrested. It simply does not take 6 weeks to get a charge together. The crimes are out in the open. In most cases, the investigation amounts to nothing but officially accumulating what is already in the public domain, has been for years, and yet nothing happens. Nothing short of the arrest and conviction of huge numbers of the people will do. Nothing less, anything less is a sellout on the critical issue. All the rest of this activity is smoke and mirrors. Wilder Larkin says, tell your sons not to die in foreign wars. Let that era be over. Well, it is. A reminder that human trafficking isn't middle-class women being kidnapped from Target. It's foster kids and runaway teens with boyfriends who coerce them into sex slavery and move them around from city to city. It's easy for them to disappear because no one is looking for them. Forest Mommy, they wanted people to do regular testing and masking and get a vaccine to keep their jobs. But listing 5 things they accomplished last week is over the line. Yeah, give me a break. Give me a break. Medgold says, someone at Apple looked at the Photos app and was like, no, I'm going to make an unusable piece of shit instead. I'm going to make it worse. And he still works there. All right, that last one was esoteric, I suppose. But that one, people who hit a list of child rapists for half a decade, they need those taxes in the mail by April 15th. Raging West says, Donald Trump has issued a chilling warning to America. Yeah, we must spend less time worrying about Putin and more time worrying about migrant rape gangs so that we don't end up like Europe. As I said. I don't know Udo Ulfkote. Udo Ulfkote, editor of leading European newspaper, died shortly after this confession. Uh-oh. I've been a journalist for 25 years. I was taught to lie, betray, and never tell the truth to the public. I was paid by the CIA, secret societies, and American billionaires. Journalists are used to manipulate people. The old American media has failed. I don't have the right aspect ratio. Doggone it. I knew it. Interesting things on Ingersoll Lockwood website. Like what? Can you elaborate? Justice Timberlake. I bet all of those aspect ratios were off, weren't they? Brett Lee says it's funny how those massive ICE protests vanished from the news. It's almost like the U.S. aid checks stopped clearing and the grassroots outrage dried up overnight. Funny how that works. Oh my God, that's exactly what the quote was above. I got it. Cue the Captain Obvious Captain Morgan guy for a comment. Okay, wait. I think in this aspect ratio, it was working. Okay, but when I click on it, that's when I need to switch the aspect ratio. Okay. Because some of these are one story, some of these are like a string of stories, and I don't want to. Oh, this is a video. Let's play the video.
Investigating and exposing what she believes are corrupt politicians and judges. She posted this weekend, still working on the People Connection mega project. This will be my first truly financially high-cost initiative, so I need to get it just right.
So my project right now is to work on analyzing connections and relationships between people in the government, because if you research people long enough, you start to notice that they're all working together. They're all married. They're all in-laws. They know each other. They all sit on the same board for many years.
So this is Data Republican working with Elon Musk's Doge. You could say President Trump's Doge. Elon pitched it, but President Trump's the one that greenlit it. And by the way, Elon doesn't do anything. He makes recommendations to the heads of those departments. I guess Data Republican doesn't speak or something. I'm learning about this person now. Like deaf or something, or blind or deaf or something. Data Republican is really getting super popular. But yeah, all of these groups are connected. It's very incestuous. It's like a Diddy orgy.
That's my project, to map those relationships and put it on my website.
She says Democrats and Republicans are both to blame.
I cannot tell you enough how much both are involved. It is everywhere. Now we even have members of Congress. So we have sitting members of Congress that actually sit on the NGOs right now. They vote in Congress for money for themselves, and they sit on the same NGOs that they're voting to get money. It is a huge conflict of interest, and it's buried very deep. The numbers don't lie. This is not a partisan issue, and if the American people understood completely what we're finding, there would be outrage across the board.
Are you ever scared? Because exposing things like that, the ways people are making big money secretly within our government, seems like it could put you at risk.
Oh yes, we had to change the way we live entirely, quickly. But you know, sometimes God calls you for a mission, and you must answer that.
Yeah, yeah. All he can do is laugh and go, yeah. Well, sometimes God calls you for a mission, and you've got to answer that. That's how I feel about the new American media. I went. So I was bartending. I think I worked 23 hours. 23 out of 24 hours one day at the Oscars, at the Vanity Fair Oscar party at the Sunset Tower Hotel. And I bartended. I found an old picture. Let me see if I can show this to you. I don't think I posted it somewhere, so I gotta what? Okay. Yes. Okay, it's right here. A blurry ass picture. See this? Look at that. Look at this picture. That's me with an Oscar. That's me. That's me bartending at the Oscars. Weird hair. I did bicep curls with it. I'm like, this thing's actually kind of heavy. It's like, what, 8 pounds? Actually, let me type that in. How much? By the way, anybody else, have you switched your search? I'm using Grok to search now. I don't like Google search. I strongly dislike Google search. Am I the only one that's recently made a switch? How much does an Oscar weigh? I'm going to say 8 pounds. Holy shit. I was pretty close. Plus or minus a pound. And the Oscar goes to this guy. 8.5 pounds. I did a bicep curl. I was like, okay, this thing's got some heft to it. David Bann, what is interesting that's on the Ingersoll Lockwood website? I'm curious. You piqued my interest. But I need a follow-up. But yeah, so I was bartending the Oscars. Hello, a human being. How are you? Jens Stoltenberg, Jens? Oh, 1717 Pennsylvania Avenue. Okay. Stoltenberg, the former NATO Secretary General, has been named the new co-chair of the Bilderberg Group. So what does that say? The new one bows to the World Economic Forum. Oh, they are definitely making a realignment, knowing that Trump is not going to play this pushover game that Biden was playing. Oh, they're definitely reshuffling the deck. Whoever they are. So I bartended at the Vanity Fair Oscar party. We did a whole bunch of work getting set up, came home and changed clothes, and then came right back and then closed the whole thing down. My brother got blasted in the face. I'm trying to think if he got headbutted or punched. This one drunk bartender was coming out one of the doors, and then he ran into my brother, and he was angry and drunk, and he hit him, busted his nose, and got all sorts of blood on this white monkey suit that he had. We had to rent these tuxedos to wear. And he got busted. That guy got thrown out, obviously, almost arrested. Should have been arrested, really. I think we went to go file charges the next day. How did that play out? Anyway, they asked if we could stay later because they were down staff. They said, we need you help you to clean behind this bar. And so I went behind the bar, and man, it was a mess. And we worked and worked, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the morning. We were done at 6 or 7 in the morning, and we were up there at 9 or so. Like, we worked 23 hours. I mean, it was a good day. Cool thing was, at the end of it all, they offered us some compensation and said, hey, any bottles that they left behind, you guys can have. I'm like, what? Oh my gosh. Bottles of Johnny Walker Blue? That is a nice sipping drink right there. Not Casamigos, Casadores. Corazon. I think it was Corazon tequila. Some of the coolest. Actually, let me see if I can show you that. Corazon. I'm going somewhere with this story. No, I don't think it's Corazon. Tequila bottle, blown glass inside. Oh, come on, where is it? Oh, there it is. Milagro. Is that what it is? It was these. Yeah, Milagro. Check these out. So I got bottles of these things, these Milagros. Here, let me just take this off, go full screen. It's cool. Inside, they make this. Oh, it's so cool. It looks like an agave, but it's blown glass on the inside that goes up and through the bottle. Anyway, I had like 10 bottles of this that we got to take home from the Oscars. How freaking cool was it? It was a nice little bonus after, because we got paid, and then we got paid time and a half, and then we got double time. So it was like after 8 hours, it was time and a half. Then after 12 hours, it was double time. And so we got I think we got triple bagged big black baggies loaded with booze bottles over our shoulders that we're walking down Sunset Boulevard with over to where our car's parked a couple blocks away. It's 6 a.m, delirious after getting A-list celebrities drunk all night. What an experience. So I went home, took a nap. And then I got up and went out to Taos, New Mexico. Drove out to Taos, New Mexico, and I began an internship I stayed at the Hive, housing for interns, volunteers, and employees. And I got to build these off-the-grid, self-sustainable homes called Earthships. I moved in with the hippies. And I was out there in this sacred place in Taos, New Mexico, the longest continuously inhabited area in America, Taos, New Mexico. Up in the mountains, the Sangre de Cristos Mountains, Blood of Christ Mountains. I definitely encountered some sort of unidentified orb that went across the sky like so fast, it was hard to fathom. And while I was out there in this fascinating place, I just had the epiphany, like, I'm going to start the New American Media. And so this is March. I must have did this in March. And I came back and I talked to my friend Ted, helped me put a website together, and my friend Sean to help me put a podcast together. And I started the New American Media after moving into Taos, New Mexico for 6 weeks. I came back and I'm like, all right, I'm doing the New American Media. How wild is that? But I had my epiphany while I was out there. Ancient Indian land. And so, yeah, Data Republican here saying, like, you know, I felt a calling from God. I felt personally, I felt a calling as well. I'm like, this is the thing I'm supposed to do. So I get what she's saying here. I like this this comment.
Call. Her next project.
Anyway, I cut her off, but yeah. Bless all the good people fighting for a fair, honest, transparent, safe, and happy America. There you go. Yeah, but she felt the calling. She felt the calling, and I can understand that to a certain degree.
Putin every day says, I want to settle the war. Let's negotiate.
Here's RFK just trying to explain what's going on with Russia.
And Zelensky has said, we're not going to negotiate. But Zelensky didn't start that way. I don't want to, belabor the history, but Russia was invaded 3 times through Ukraine. The last time Hitler killed 1 out of every 7 Russians. They don't want to have Ukraine join NATO. So when the wall came down in the Soviet Union, Europe, Gorbachev destroyed himself politically by doing something that was very, very courageous. He went to Bush and he said, I'm going to allow you to reunify Germany under a NATO army. I'm going to remove 450,000 Soviet troops, but I want your commitment. After that, you will not move NATO 1 inch to the east, and we solemnly swore we wouldn't do it. Well, then in 97, Brzezinski was the first of the neocons said,
Brzezinski, Mika Brzezinski's dad. Wow, it's like they're all related. It's a family affair. It's a family. Right.
We're going to move NATO 1,000 miles to the east and take 15 countries into it and surround the Soviet Union. So then we not only move it into 14 new nations, but we unilaterally walk away from our 2 nuclear weapons treaties with the Russians. And we put Aegis missile systems in Romania and Poland 12 minutes from Moscow. When Russians did that to Cuba in '62, we came this close to nuclear war until they removed them. So the Russians don't want nukes 400 miles from Putin every day says, I want to settle the war. Let's.
Anyway, that's a little bit of a history lesson that people that just keep saying, oh, Russia started this. Anyway, here's this video that I was telling you about. This person gets out. They're on the board of supervisors for this township in Pennsylvania. He harassed a lady at a pharmacy and was trying to pick up medicine and became aggressive after being called sir. So, yeah. It's got music playing. You hear it. They're playing Dude Looks Like a Lady. Anyway, you can watch that. It's the juice isn't worth the squeeze, so I'm not going to play the audio here. President Trump had a financial announcement he wanted to mention today. Taiwan Semiconductors, the biggest chip manufacturer in the world, will be investing $100 billion into the United States building new factories in Arizona and creating 20,000 new American jobs. That's awesome. Bring jobs back to this country, please. This is allegedly a Ukrainian man, shared by Today's America, yelling for help and pleading, "I have a child at home," as he's forced into a vehicle and kidnapped to be sent to war. What's you're fighting for? You want to defend Ukraine? They suspended elections. We have a tyrant coming in, negotiating in bad faith with Marco Rubio, trying to embarrass him in public, negotiating with Trump and Vance in private, and trying to embarrass them in public, stealing their own citizens to go be thrown into a meat grinder. This is what you want to support? You want to support it? You get your own ass over there and fight. Insurrection Barbie with a really nice take here. I'm confused. Is Zelensky a hero for putting Ukraine first, while Trump is a fascist for putting America first? Make it make sense. Zelensky, hero for putting Ukraine first. Trump, fascist for putting America first. Roy Orb and his son. It was an orb. It was one of the fastest moving things in the sky I've ever seen. By the time I realized what was coming up over the mountains, it was essentially over my head, and then it was essentially way past and then out of sight. I was like, I don't know what that it was just an orb. I don't know what the hell I saw, but I saw something that moved faster than anything I've ever seen move. And I've seen a bunch of hungry high school kids playing on the offensive line of the football team go to Golden Corral before. You want to see people move fast. Whew. Like in the cartoons, their silhouette is a ghost. Whew. And then it dissipates in the wind like they're gone so fast. The shadow doesn't even have time to move. So yeah, Zelensky's a hero for putting Ukraine first. Trump is a fascist for putting America first. Laura says, I can't get over the fact that being anti-war is now coded as right-wing. So here's the circle. Trump wants a foreign leader to do something. So Trump suggests something unorthodox and hyperbolic. Then the left claims that Trump is a fascist and stupid and that his plan will not work. We are here. And then the leader caves and Trump gets concessions. That's based on the Spectator Index saying that Zelensky and his country is ready to sign the minerals deal with the United States. We'll see. I don't trust him at all. I don't trust them at all. Don't trust them. How could you possibly trust them? Justin Sexton says, I know one thing. Zelensky would have received a hero's welcome from these guys and sent home with enough ammo to go all the way to Moscow. Yeah, these guys were famous for winning wars. That's a good point, the Bush administration. J.D. Vance says, Europe has a free speech problem. Europeans, how dare you? In my country, we would throw you in jail for saying that. Exactly. So German industry has begun calling for a return to Russian natural gas as their economy is on a path of decline, according to Bloomberg. So they call Putin Hitler and then they buy Hitler's gas? Are they simple or something? Karen Bass, here's a CBS News report humiliating Mayor Karen Bass. Let's kick Karen Bass out. Recall her.
What specifically did she do to endanger public safety? As I mentioned,
talking about her fire chief that she fired.
1,000 firefighters who could have been on the job fighting the fires were sent home. So we knew the 1,000 firefighters could have been called in the day after the fire. What changed? What changed? Because you said you weren't planning on firing her on January 11th. Well, Los Angeles was on fire. After that, we had rains. I was not going to do anything while we were in a state of emergency.
Does this and the rest of the mayor's press conference pass the smell test for you?
Well, you know, there was another really important part of that press conference where the mayor was asked about when she knew about the extreme fire danger that Los Angeles was facing. You see, she was headed to Ghana with a presidential delegation the week of the fire, and she's claimed that the chief did not tell her the severity of the wind event that was coming and how dangerous the fire conditions were. And she expected the chief to warn her of that ahead of time. You know, I asked her if she saw any of the number of forecasts that were out there. The local media had been reporting it for days ahead of the fire, and she said no, she had not seen any of it. Does that pass the smell test? I don't know. I mean, I know the mayor is a busy person, but she did also tell me in that news conference that she does pay attention to local media. I don't know how you would have missed that one.
And I think you need to go look at the James O'Keefe footage with the really strange phone call with Karen Bass whispering. I can't really explain it to you now, but I'm only going to be gone for 2 days. If you knew. It's really creepy. It's almost like she's admitting that something big is going to happen. By the way, something going to happen? This is what happens when the leftist media gets their talking points memo at 3 a.m. Oh, okay, I got my email. I got to go out on the media and say this. I'm going to say this 100 times.
It was a pathetic ambush. I think a mugging, a bait and switch.
Critics have been outraged by what seemed to be an Oval Office ambush.
An Oval Office ambush?
Who is that lady with the strange accent? It's Julia Child. Who is that lady with the strange accent?
Of an American ally.
What can only be described as a total ambush of Ukraine.
Yeah, a bait and switch. I like that one because that's exactly what Zelensky told Rubio. Yeah, we'll sign this thing. And then he's like, no, I'm not going to sign it. It's like, you son of a bitch. Why are you wasting our time? What is wrong with you? Ugh, Zelensky. That's a real ambush. No, it's like a 53-minute sit-down press interview, and right at the end, they'd finally had enough. And then Zelensky, I took that as an absolute threat. You have nice ocean, but soon you will know. Don't tell me what I'll know. Don't tell me what I'll know. We're going to be strong. We're going to be great. Don't tell me what I know.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky.
An ambush. You called it one of the grimmest days of American diplomacy.
One of the greatest days in American diplomacy. Telling him to go pound sand. But yeah, if Ukraine is our 52nd state, why don't we tell our 51st state to go pound sand and focus on our country for once?
This was a calculated political ambush. I don't think this was a accidental interchange.
Dude, they were 5 minutes away from getting the money and the funding that they came asking for.
That escalated. This was calculated.
It was an ambush. I mean, this was a plan. This was a politically calculated ambush.
Maybe, as some have speculated, that show was some kind of premeditated ambush.
It had the feelings at times, Dana, of an ambush.
Some people are wondering if this was an ambush.
It was, I think, an ambush.
Word of the day is ambush. If you combine Anheuser and Busch, ambush.
I think it was a premeditated ambush for political points.
Was this an ambush? Was this pre-planned? Did Vance go in there as an agent provocateur and try and...
I love when people having a normal conversation. Rosario Gonzalez. Agent provocateur. You know, I kind of wondered if J.D. Vance went into that whole situation as an agent provocateur. Like highlighting, italicizing words right in the middle of a normal conversation. It's just so funny to me.
Provoke Zelensky.
That was an ambushing of our ally.
What we just witnessed between Donald Trump, J.D. Vance, and President Zelensky inside the White House was an ambush. It was a planned ambush designed to embarrass President Zelensky in order to benefit Vladimir Putin.
It was a planned ambush.
to effectively jettison Ukraine and complete the switching of sides of the U.S. in line with, again, Donald Trump and J.D. Vance's Russia first views.
It was a pathetic
Russia first views. The United States is going bankrupt. We're not putting boots on the ground. We're done playing the games. Stop the fucking war. Negotiate a peace treaty. Yeah, we want a mineral rights deal to recoup all our wasted billions of dollars over there. Let's end this thing. That's a Russian first policy? No, that's America first, you fool. Man, that Chris Hayes is such a disingenuous. Seriously, don't tell me what I know. And I saw Trump reach his hand out, and he put his hand on Zelensky's outer tricep shoulder area, and he pushed him a little. He gave him just a little. I wonder if I can find that whole clip. Now I would just want to watch that clip. Let me Grok home search. Don't tell me what I know. Where's it at? Looking for it. Trump to Zelensky. Or what to feel. Don't tell me what to feel. Yeah, if I said don't tell me what to know, don't tell me what we're gonna feel. That's if I didn't say it that. Don't tell us what we're gonna feel. Here it is. Whoop! I gotta get off full screen here. I need a second screen. I need to get this set up. This would make it so much easier. Yeah, don't tell me what to feel is what was the line. Let's full screen this. I want to play this because and look, watch how this starts. He's leaning in, talking. Trump's just kind of like, okay, let's just trudge through this. We'll get through this. Look at how Zelensky instantly sits back in his chair, crosses his arms. He's like, don't talk to me. And then he addresses him as JD, not Mr. Vice President. It's like, hey, punk. He's trying to punk him right here. Okay. Here's kind of like the beginning of it. This was sort of the beginning of the end. Oh, doggone it. I was on the wrong screen. Did you hear that or did you not hear that? Oh, son of a gun. That's what I was. Doggone it. Yeah, I need a second screen already. Did you even hear any of that? Question of the day. Type in the comments. Did you hear that opening intro between these two? But anyway, here's the part that I wanted to get to now that we're looking at the right screen.
Even you, but you have nice ocean and don't.
Right here. We have many problems, but you have nice ocean.
Sure. First of all, during the war, everybody has problems. Even you, but you have nice ocean and don't feel now, but you will feel it in the future. God bless.
You don't know that.
God bless.
You don't
God
know
bless.
That.
You will not have a war.
Don't tell us what we're going to feel. We're trying to solve a problem. Don't tell us what we're going to feel.
I'm not telling you.
Because
I'm
you're in no
answering on
position
this
to
question.
dictate that.
That's
Remember
exactly
this.
I'm not
You're in
dictating.
no position to dictate what we're going to feel. We're going to feel very good.
You will feel influence.
We're going to feel very good and very
You
strong.
will feel influence.
We're going to feel very good and very strong. I love how he's like, he paints the right pictures.
You're right now not in a very good position. You've allowed yourself to be in a very bad position, and he happens to be right about it.
From the very beginning of the war,
You're not in a good position. You don't have the cards right now. With us, you start having cards. But right now, you don't. Yeah, you're playing cards. You're playing cards. You're gambling with the lives of millions of people. You're gambling with World War III. You're gambling with World War III. And what you're doing is very disrespectful to the country, this country. That's back to you. Far more than a lot of people said they should have.
Have you said thank you once?
A lot of times.
No, in this
even
entire
today.
meeting, you said thank
even
you.
Today.
You went to Pennsylvania and campaigned for the opposition in October. Offer some words of appreciation for the United States of America and the president who's trying to save your country.
Don't tell me how we're going to feel. Like, that just sounded like such a threat to me.
Even you, but you have nice ocean and don't feel now, but you will feel it.
You have nice big ocean and don't feel now, but you will feel it.
During the war, everybody has problems. Even you, but you have nice ocean and don't feel now, but you will feel it in the future. God bless.
But you will feel it in the future. I take that as a threat. This little weasel.
Ocean and don't feel now, but you will feel it in the future. God bless.
You don't know that.
God bless.
You don't
God
know
bless.
That.
You will not have a war.
Don't tell us what we're going to feel. We're trying to solve a problem.
Don't tell us what we're going to feel.
I'm not telling you.
Because you're in no position.
I was looking for the line where he put his hand on his shoulder. Okay, no, you didn't hear it. Thank you, Bella's Chance. Anyway, I switched it over. You were able to hear the second part. Sorry about that. I am juggling between all these three screens, trying to keep the comments over here, trying to keep the media over there, and then me somewhere in between. But yes, so you should have been able to hear that the second time. I just think it's super important. Super important that we remember who this Zelensky guy is. All right, one more story here. Putin's going on the record now. He's talking about Zelensky and where we're at and how we get out of this situation. Here he goes. Nope. There we go.
No longer be any ground.
Here. Having a hard time.
Finally, he has cornered himself with the decree banning negotiations with the Russian Federation on a peace agreement. Why? Because if negotiations were to begin sooner or later, and most likely quite quickly, it would lead to the need to lift martial law. And as soon as that happens, elections must be held immediately.
So they're saying, Zelensky suspended elections. He's now ruling like a tyrant. And if he released the emergency situation that he's declared, where he gets to be a ruler forever, he's feeling very cocky, very invincible, this guy, this Zelensky. Very rude, very disingenuous. A very disingenuous negotiator, someone who cannot be trusted. He keeps going back on his word. In this life, all you have is your balls and your word, and I don't break them for nobody. I haven't done a Pacino in forever. Hoo-ah! Gotta remember how that goes. From Scarface. In this world, all you have is your balls and your word, and I don't break them for nobody. But yeah, they're saying that, or Putin here is saying, if Zelensky gets rid of this emergency situation and they declare a ceasefire, then they're going to have an election immediately, and he's going to get thrown out on his ass. So he doesn't want peace because he's trapped. He's painted himself in a corner where as soon as he might get brought up on war charges, on war crime charges. They could have negotiated a peace deal to this stuff 2 years ago, and he keeps pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing, drunk on power.
There would no longer be any grounds for not holding elections, as the current justification for not conducting elections in Ukraine is the presence of martial law. But if negotiations take place, followed by the likely quick necessity of lifting martial law, elections would have to be held right away. And that's where the current head of the regime faces a problem. His rating is exactly half that of his closest potential political rival. The current head of the regime has absolutely no chance of winning the election.
So he's stuck. So Zelensky painted himself in a corner. And now he can't negotiate peace. Or else he'll be thrown out and maybe brought up on war crime charges. Great. Great. That's just super. That's super, everybody. That's super duper. NATO regurgitation. A human being. Let's see. I just saw a feed. President Trump is pausing all U.S. military aid to Ukraine. Yes, that has been reported. Let me see what's trending as we're going to start wrapping this show up by tearing through our X feed here. If you're not following us on X, we're at American_media_. President Trump has halted new weapon sales to Ukraine and is considering freezing shipments from the U.S. stockpiles, signaling a significant shift in U.S. foreign policy. This decision comes after a contentious meeting with Zelensky, where future military aid was put into question. This sparked discussions on U.S. involvement in global conflicts, particularly with NATO and Ukraine amidst Trump's push to end the war with Russia. It's over, Zelensky, says Nick Sortor. Your gravy train has come to a screeching halt. And if Zelensky wants an endless war, he's going to have to pay for it himself. All right. So Solana, XRP, and ADA have been included in the Trump crypto strategic reserves. Question of the day, type it in. Did this move make you happy? That there's going to be a strategic crypto reserve in the United States now? And were you holding any Solana, XRP, ADA, ETH, or BTC? Curious to know. Yeah, President Trump says a U.S. crypto reserve will elevate this critical industry after years of corrupt attacks by the Biden administration, which is why my executive order on digital assets directed the presidential working group to move forward on a crypto strategic reserve that includes XRP, SOL, and ADA. I'll make sure the U.S. is the crypto capital of the world. We are making America great again. Eric Trump says, I love the genius of announcing a strategic reserve on a Sunday when traditional markets are closed and Wall Street sleeps. For the first time, retail investors win. Traditional finance better catch up or it will quickly become extinct. The world no longer runs on a Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. Although I will say, after a really nice moment for a hot minute there, crypto is down 13% today. Huge spike and then a huge drop. Huge spike, huge drop. Kind of back to where we started, so doesn't seem like it made all that much of a difference. But it, like with crypto, you buy it, you set it, you forget it. And over time, it has been a pretty decent place. All right. Abreu Lenny says, replying to us, excited for the Epstein list release. President Trump and AG Bondi keeping promises, ensuring equal justice, brings hope for a more transparent future. Epstein trial and list release. But we replied, they said the list would be out and they failed to deliver. It's just about time to replace Pam Bondi with somebody competent who will actually do the job that they were hired to do. This is taking too long. Do you agree that the Epstein list release is taking too long? They have no functional control over their own Department of Justice and FBI? Like, that's all that we're learning? Ah, there we go. Zelensky says, we continue to work with our partners. We have already had talks and other steps to come. It is very important that we try to make diplomacy really substantive to end this war the soonest possible. Angry Elephant says, you spat in the face of America and put your people more so into harm's way. You threatened our country. You reneged on your word, and America does not trust you, Zelensky. Bravo. Cat Turd says, get the name America out your mouth. The ATM is closed. Go away. Savannah says, you are not working with America. You came to the U.S. and insulted President Trump. You attempted to talk over Vice President Vance and look like an out-of-control lunatic. You broke the deal you made with Secretary of State Marco Rubio. You are the problem. You want war. You can say bad things about Putin all you want. I don't give a shit. I don't worship the ground he walks on. I don't hate him as a demon. He's a dude, and he's done plenty of bad things. Fine. Name a bunch of world leaders that haven't. But if he's got a point that if they negotiate a ceasefire, he'll have to have an election and he's going to get his ass thrown out, well, now he's not negotiating for the benefits of Ukraine. He's negotiating for his self-benefit. And that is a dangerous spot to be in. Yeah, there's a guy getting kidnapped. Ukraine military recruiters allegedly kidnapping an unsuspecting man off the street to be used in the front lines as a meat grinder, just as J.D. Vance stated, asking, this is how you build an army? It's awful. Here's a shock poll. Take a look at this. Libs of TikTok reporting the Daily Mail. Donald Trump is more popular than ever, according to this poll, as he prepares to address Congress tomorrow night. How about that? Who had that on their bingo board? Here's Bill Clinton saying he trusted Putin. They had a good relationship. He's a political genius. Then Trump does the exact same thing, and he's a Russian puppet. For context. So that's there on the X feed. Check out yesterday's show. We ask if we should reinstate Pete Rose. Ask if people are watching the Oscars and U.S. crypto reserve news. And will Pam Bondi release the Epstein list? Check this out. The poly market. 12% chance, up 7%. Maybe a spike and then a drop if 4%. Then up to 9, and then now it's at 12%. Spiked at almost 15, now it's at 12. Will the U.S. leave NATO by June 30th? Poly market odds have surged to record highs. Here's Carrie Lake getting sworn in today. She looks forward to serving America, streamlining the United States Agency of Global Media and everything that it oversees. Congratulations. First Lady Melania Trump, check this out. She's meeting with members of Congress to advocate for the passage of the Take It Down Act, which will criminalize the publication of non-consensual intimate images. The bill requires social media platforms and websites to remove non-consensual content within 48 hours of receiving notifications from the victim. Violations include up to 2 years imprisonment for adults and 3 years for minors. This is amazing. She looked pretty cool walking in today. Nice outfit. Yeah, David Bann, didn't he torture Gonzalo Lira? Yeah, Ukraine tortured and killed American journalist Gonzalo Lira. So where's your apology for that, pal? Not you, David. I mean Zelensky. Yeah, yesterday was a big jump in crypto, and today it is down. So it is what it is. I don't know why it's down today. It doesn't make any sense. Maybe because Trump didn't announce the plan. He didn't really elaborate on it, or we'll see. I think there's a big crypto summit coming up on the 7th. So expect it to jump by then. Oh, never take financial advice from me. Ever. You all know that. All right, yeah. Also, this bill is going to protect against deep fake pornography. Interesting. First Lady Melania Trump, on my way to the Hill to advocate for the Take It Down Act. I urge Congress to pass this important legislation to safeguard our youth. Be best. Okay. Here's something to keep your eyes on as we're looking at the globe. Let's not lose track of what's happening in our own backyard. You got Wisconsin going to be fighting over their state Supreme Court. And here in Pennsylvania, it looks like Philadelphia is pulling its usual election magic tricks. 14,643 new active Democrat voters in just 1 week. Sure, totally believable if you ignore reality. The Pennsylvania State Department better have a damn good explanation because this reeks of classic blue machine voter roll shenanigans. And if they think people aren't watching, they're dead wrong. People are watching. Scott Pressler, who was recently, I think yesterday, he was honored in the White House with President Trump and J.D. Vance, Vice President Vance. And he says in the last week, Pennsylvania Democrats gained 15,242 active voters. And the majority of these came out of Philly, 14,643. Hey, Pennsylvania State Department, can you explain how Philadelphia County gained 14,500 active Democrat voters in a week? We have all the receipts. And we said it's time to finally audit the illegal vote harvesting techniques of the American blue cities. It's a racket. Alex Jones reporting that Roger Stone has called for AG Bondi to launch a criminal investigation into Democrat leaders that illegally held a shadow diplomatic meeting with Zelensky hours before the infamous White House confrontation in an attempt to derail Trump's peace initiative. Plus, Roger also calls for an investigation of Democrat kingpins for potentially being involved in the UK's rare earth mineral deal, with Ukraine as a motive for blocking the peace deal. Well, this is a 5-minute video, but hopefully he gets to it quick. Well, I'll just here. I can read it. It's typed out. I'll give you the good parts. Kennecoa the Great. In 2014, Senator Chris Murphy, Democrat, bragged about the United States successfully overthrowing Ukraine's government. Quote, I think it was our role, including sanctions and threats of sanctions that forced, in part, Yanukovych from office. We have not sat on the sidelines. We have been very much involved. Members of the Senate have been there. Members of the State Department have been on the square. The Obama administration passed sanctions. The Senate was prepared to pass its own set of sanctions. And as I've said, I think that the clear position of the United States has, in part, been what has helped lead to this change in regime. If ultimately this is a peaceful transition to a new government in Ukraine, it will be the U.S. on the streets of Ukraine who will be seen as a great friend in helping make that transition happen. There is a U.S. interest here. We are in the middle of negotiating a new trade agreement with Europe. To my state, it's enormously important. We do 40% of our trade in Connecticut with Europe. If Ukraine is a part of the EU, and thus is part of this new trade agreement with the United States, that could result in billions of dollars in new economic opportunities for the United States. So we do have an economic interest in Ukraine's being a part of the European Union, and we shouldn't be shy about making that interest clear. We got to go back to 2014 to figure out why we're in the position that we're in now. Did you hear this story about the Chick-fil-A? Todd Starnes reporting this. This thing, if this doesn't boil your blood. A man armed with a knife chases 2 people into a Chick-fil-A in Boston. An off-duty police officer happened to be inside the restaurant. He pulls out his service revolver and orders the attacker to put down the knife. The man refused, and the officer opened fire. The attacker later died at the hospital. Boston's Democrat mayor held a press conference where she offered condolences, of course, to the attacker and his family, not the victims. My condolences and all of our thoughts are with the family of the individual whose life has been lost, said leftist Mayor Michelle Wu. Why is Michelle Wu in Boston? Why has she not been removed from office? Recall her. What about offering condolences to the people who were terrorized by this lunatic? What about praising the off-duty police officer for putting his own life on the line? There could have been a mass casualty event last night in Boston had it not been for that brave officer. Yet another reminder that Democrats always believe that the criminals are the true victims. It's insane. Mike Lee saying this, Coca-Cola uses high fructose corn syrup in the U.S. because the U.S. government has made cane sugar untenably expensive in America. Rather than forcing Coca-Cola to change its formula for Coke in the U.S., wouldn't it be better to fix our ridiculous sugar policies? I'd say maybe. Gold is up, you say. What is gold up to? Where was it at? 2,400 last I checked? What's gold up to now, Bella? Bella, under my umbrella. My umbrella. Jewish journalist arrested and jailed for objecting to a Hamas symbol in a U.S. grocery store. You go into a Kroger, and then the employee is proudly wearing a Hamas-supporting keffiyeh, a symbol of violence against Jews. It's against Kroger's policy. They're not supposed to wear political symbols. Makes you uncomfortable with this person. The manager shrugs you off and says, if you don't like it, leave. You call corporate, nothing happens. You share a photo. Where's the photo? I don't know. It's a head thing. Is a head thing a bad thing? 3 days later, police show up at your door. They pound on your door in front of your family. They arrest you, handcuffing and parading you in front of children and neighbors. They charge you with cyber stalking for posting online about a store policy violation. Dragged from her home in front of her children, jailed and smeared because she objected to pro-Hamas display. Harris Teeter Kroger sided with Hamas sympathizers. Police weaponize their power to silence a Jewish woman. Left-wing media rushed to smear her. Now, radical activists across the country have found a new weapon to target Jews who speak out. Lawfare against Jews in America. I don't know. I mean, is headgear like explicitly for terrorists? I don't know. I don't know about that story, but something to consider. I don't know. Scott McFarland says Senator Chris Murphy, Democrat of Connecticut on CNN, said the White House has become an arm of the Kremlin. Megyn Kelly says, see how it works? Murphy meets with Zelensky prior to Zelensky's Oval Office meeting with Trump and Vance, urges Zelensky to reject the deal, thereby sabotaging the agreement. Then when Trump calls out Zelensky's grandstanding and disrespect at a meeting that was supposed to be celebrating the deal, Trump is a Russian agent. Okay. Cool story, bro. Whoa, gold is up to 2,900. Whoa. Wow. And silver is up to 31.5. Wow. Okay. $3,000. Yeah, I know. Let's go see if there's any gold in Fort Knox. But here's the other thing, guys. Let's not lose track of this. I was wearing a hat all day, so my hair looks like a Lego guy's hair. I heard a rumor that it was Putin and Russia that came up with this cryptocurrency thing. And that one of these days they're going to pull the rug out from underneath all of it. And that's going to be the global takeover. So if Trump is doing a strategic crypto reserve, is there gold in Fort Knox? Are they going to take out gold at an all-time high before it goes even higher, trade the gold for nothing, crypto, and then the rug's pulled out from crypto? I don't know. Just something to keep in mind here. Something to keep in mind. Yeah, I want to go to Fort Knox. I keep putting in, hoping that I can go there. It's not too far from where I'm at. Jim Ferguson reporting that Starmer and Zelensky just tried to play Trump. It's a as the globalist backroom deals are exposed. The mask has slipped. Again, Lieutenant Colonel Tony Schaefer exposed a major contradiction in Ukraine's so-called mineral negotiations with the United States. Just weeks before Zelensky walked into the Oval Office demanding a minerals deal from Trump, he had already signed a 100-year partnership with the UK, including a mineral clause with Keir Starmer's globalist government. Think about that. On January 17, Starmer and Zelensky locked in an agreement that ties Ukraine's critical mineral wealth to the UK for the next century. That deal covers defense, security, energy, and infrastructure, and a special working group designed to maximize benefits from Ukraine's natural resources. So why was Zelensky in Washington acting like he was negotiating in good faith with the U.S.? Was this a real discussion or just an attempt to shake down the Trump administration while Starmer and his globalist friends sat back laughing? They thought Trump and America were fools, and they just got caught. So here's what this means. Ukraine's leadership is playing multiple sides, signing secret long-term deals while pretending to negotiate with America. Starmer is knee-deep in this deception, using Ukraine as a bargaining chip while cozying up to European Union elites. Trump saw through the game and refused to be manipulated, and now the globalists are scrambling. Their scam has been exposed, and who else is in on it? Trump refused to be played, and now it's time for the American people to wake up. How long before the world realizes that Ukraine is just a pawn in the globalist empire's game?
Well, first off, they've got to change the fact that on the 17th of January, the British signed an agreement with Ukraine to have exclusive rights to those deals. Kirscher, this is a battle of dueling narratives. You can go check it out. This is on the British-UK website. It talks about this 100-year, Ukraine and UK signed a 100-year deal over security guarantees and economic development. So what happened?
What was he even doing in the U.S.?
Trump and his team found out that they were being played. So this has become a set of dueling narratives. The BBC just said today there's massive protests here. Zach Andrews just said all the European leaders are behind Zelensky. We are being played. We, the United States, are trying to be signed up to a deal that we provide security guarantees to a economic development deal that Keir Starmer has already signed them up to do. So the first thing it has to do is people have to take a step back and be honest with what's really going on. And so I think what happened here, I don't know the details, it wasn't in that meeting, but Kirscher, the president was trying to play a straight line deal to sign an agreement with them over this mineral rights deal, knowing full well that the British had already signed on this 3 days before his inauguration. So where we go from here is both sides, if this is going to work, if the Europeans really want our help, they're going to have to take a step back and start being honest with the United States about what's really going on.
Getting a comment here on our Rumble feed. Let's go back. That's wild that
of government
that happened. John Lloyd Sharp is saying the Logan Act, enacted January 30, 1799, is a United States federal law that criminalizes the negotiation of a dispute between the United States and a foreign government. Yeah. You got that whole cast of characters that were negotiating with Zelensky not too long ago, right before that meeting. Is Pam Bondi the one that would lay down the indictments? What is she waiting on? I have no confidence. I have zero confidence in Pam Bondi. No Epstein list, no charges against the people that withheld the Epstein list at SDNY, Southern District of New York. You should have indicted that person or people responsible. And then these 4 people violating the Logan Act, advising Zelensky right before that meeting. So here's a program here, San Antonio. Local Texas News went and investigated an NGO called out by Doge for receiving $18 million per month for an empty illegal migrant shelter. You're not going to believe this. That contract started in 2021 after a Biden transition team member joined the nonprofit. Government disclosure forms show its revenues shot up in 2021 from $50 million to $658 million, reaching a peak of $1.1 billion in 2022. So much fraud, waste, and money laundering. Doge and DHS terminated this contract to San Antonio, Texas NGO endeavors. Wow. You know, when you think about it, it's like, well, there is a theory that if you give and force people to take a certain medication, and if that medication will make people sick, induced AIDS, and maybe it makes them sterile, wouldn't you need to import 30 million people who did not take the thing to replace the population that's soon going to die off and not going to be able to reproduce, to permanently alter the demographics of this nation? Is it possible? David Bann asking, well, how could all these things happen with Bitcoin with no laws in place? Well, okay. Fair questions. Or on the books, how can they operate and do what they do? Yeah, crypto is a little confusing. Allegedly the ledger. You know, the fact that everything is, the transactions are all out there, it kind of like locks things in. Whereas the Federal Reserve, it's so shady. Nobody really knows what's going on. Yeah, these NGOs, this is crucial to saving our country, getting to the bottom of all these NGOs. Kurt Schemmers says, several things we also know for sure. The Chinese hated Trump, and he had to go. The Democrat Party and Biden couldn't beat Trump with his red-hot economy, so he had to go. And then COVID got out. Yep. Remember that? Pepperidge Farm remembers. Elon said, did you know that U.S. aid using your tax dollars funded bioweapons research included COVID-19 that killed millions of people? Kaneko the Great said U.S. aid funneled $53 million to EcoHealth Alliance, which then used U.S. taxpayer funds to support gain-of-function research on coronaviruses at the Wuhan lab. It's research that likely led to the creation of COVID-19, and then the CIA's deception regarding COVID-19 origins becomes much clearer. CIA tried to pay off analysts to bury findings that COVID was, they call it a lab leak. It's a lab release. Leak seems accidental. This feels intentional. And a whistleblower said they're covering it up. So why would you cover up something unless it implicated you? Mila Joy said, hold on to your hats, because Elon Musk, Trump's go-to advisor, billionaire genius and hands down the most influential guy on the planet, just lobbed a grenade into the global conversation. He's claiming loud and clear that the U.S. government didn't just botch the COVID-19 response, they bankrolled its very existence, setting off a chain reaction that left millions dead worldwide, including my mother and my brother. I'm adding those 2 points. This isn't some late night rant from a nobody. It's Musk, the guy who's got the president's ear and a track record for shaking things up, from Tesla to SpaceX. Think about it. If he's right, this is beyond explosive. It's apocalyptic. The idea that DC suits funded a virus that flipped the world upside down should have us all hitting the brakes, jaws dropped, demanding the truth. I have been. I try to stay calm on this issue as much as I can. You can scroll back far enough. You'll find some episodes where I've allowed myself to vent. I'm sort of numb, focused, steely gaze, Gaze. No wordplay on that one, Kenneth. A steeled resolve, and if my pupils are fixed and dilated. We're talking millions of graves, shattered economies, the endless grief, all potentially tracing back to a government lab checkbook. This isn't just big news. It's the kind of history-bending bombshell that should make Watergate look like a petty prank. So why isn't the planet frozen, reeling from the weight of it? Why aren't we storming the streets, pounding on doors, screaming for accountability? Musk dropped the match. Shouldn't the world be on fire? Yeah. Rand Paul arguing that COVID came from a partly U.S. government-funded lab in Wuhan. Yeah, I know. And we demand vengeance and justice. Hey, here you go. See all these people here? They're not journalists. They're just highly paid actors. You get it now? Trump talking about Canada being our 51st state. No tariffs, no nothing. We give them military protection. They're about last in NATO. They say, why should they spend on military? The U.S. protects us. That's true. It's not fair. They couldn't exist if they had to pay their way. Ted Cruz making comments. It makes sense for Trump to be interested in Greenland. The location is beneficial to America's national security interests, and there's an abundance of rare earth minerals there. Dude, take a look at this map. Tugboat Phil says, I'm not going to say this too loudly, but now would be a really great time to establish a beachhead on Greenland. This map ain't going to change itself. Let me make this full screen. There's no reason. Yeah, there's no reason not to arrest people. Exactly. How can it operate in a gray area with no control? The government wouldn't have allowed it to happen if they weren't behind it. That part. Here, let's look at this map. This is so silly. So this is called geez, what is even the name of this map? President of the United States seal. All right. Well, at the bottom here in Antarctica, it's called America's Freezer. Up here, it's called America's Santa's Workshop. I love this. Trump's trying to negotiate to take over Marjorie Taylor Greenland. I haven't heard it called that before. Marjorie Taylor Greenland. That's funny. You got, of course, the Gulf of America. We're calling Central America America's Pants. America will be America Classic. Hawaii is Moana? Question mark? Moana, the movie. Is it here? It also goes over here in Indonesia or wherever this is. Is this Moana? Hold on. Is this Moana? New Zealand is just America upside down. Or is that no, that's this is New Zealand. Middle Earth America. What is this this is where do they send it? Where do the British send all of their prisoners? What's the name of this place? It's there's Kiwis, New Zealand. What's the other one? What is the name of the other one? Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness, what is it called? Is it just Australia? Yeah, and then New Zealand is underneath that. So they're calling Australia upside down America, if you look at that. It does. If you flip upside down, it does look like upside down America. They're calling South America Little Africa. They're calling Africa Dark MAGA. Down here in South Africa, calling it Muskville, because that's where Elon is from. Atlantic Ocean is now Ocean of America. Pacific is called the Other Ocean of America. Alaska is called McKinley's Happy Funland. Canada is called Gay North Dakota. Great Britain is called Bad Teeth America. Middle East that's what they call Europe now. They just call Europe Middle East. Just under that, they call that area Bible Land. Oh, that Mesopotamia area, the Israel area, the Iraqi area, Bible Land. Vivekburg over here, that's India. Vivekburg. They call this the 100-acre wood. Okay, I don't quite get that one. MacArthur Island here. And then up here in Russia, country that America beat to the moon. And then up in the top right, here be dragons. It's a goofy map, but like it made me laugh in a couple of ways. Oh, here's Tom saying even Trump's kids hate him. Why would I take a moment to wonder what Scaramucci said when I can? Yes, it was Australia. I couldn't think of the name of it, but I did have to check that and figure it out. Australia and New Zealand. Yeah, Trump's kids love him. Like I watch Don Jr. and Eric all the time, and Ivanka was heavily involved in the last campaign, and his wife is super active this time around, and yeah, Trump's kids seem to love him. Why would I worry about Scaramucci when I can actually like go to the kids and see how it's going? But yeah, that is a good point, David Bann. Who created Bitcoin and what do we really know about the background of it? Yeah, Satoshi, right? It is a little sketchy. I wouldn't go too heavy, too I'd be a little reticent of Bitcoin for sure. Anyway, it's a funny map. Go ahead and check that out. It's on our feed. But yeah, this is what I was mentioning a moment ago. Scott Pressler in the Oval Office with President Trump and JD Vance. He said, the coolest gosh darn moment of my life. Thank you, President Trump and President Vance. And if you go on Rumble and YouTube, you'll see my interview with Scott Pressler at the Republican convention in Milwaukee. He said, I started off as a dog walker. It's surreal to go from the doghouse to the Oval Office in the White House. Every outhouse, hen house, farmhouse, and greenhouse. What movie is that from? And he promises to keep working every single day. Yeah, he's Scott Pressler has been a great voice. He's been a great voice for the MAGA movement. We need more people like him. All right, Victor David Hansen. Let's compare the Trump term to the Obama term for a little bit of perspective.
Just like Obama did, he fired almost everybody. I can tell you I was on the American Battlefield Monuments Commission, an apolitical. As soon as Obama came in, he fired me. And he fired every Republican on that commission. And I don't blame him. That was what he wanted, people on the same team. But Trump didn't. So he's going to do what most people do, get a team in there. And he's going to get people who don't fit that background of Merrick Garland, Lloyd Austin, Blinken, Sullivan. So he said, to make sure that these people understand what I'm dealing with, I'm going to pick people who have been targeted by these people. Let's see, National Institute of Health, that is the most important of all the organizations. And under Francis Collins, they targeted people. In fact, they targeted Jay Bhattacharya from Stanford. They went after him. I'll make him the head of it. They targeted people. They put surveillance on Kash Patel when he was a congressional. I'm going to make him the head of the FBI. Oh, I know. Secretary of Defense. Pete Hegseth wrote a book chronicling all the problems with the revolving door. I'm going to make him the head of the Defense Department. Oh, Director of National Intelligence. Tulsi Gabbard. She was on a terrorist watch list. She will be the head of the Director of National Intelligence. So that's what he did.
So there's your perspective. Dr. Malouf here, this is a Muslim preacher saying when Muslims become the majority in the next 40 years, non-Muslims will have two options, convert or pay the jizya, because we are merciful. If they refuse, they will die. And he means every word that he says. So Europe, if you want to lecture us, why don't you worry about who's invading your country, shall you? Hugo Vale saying, anyone remember Hollywood celebrities' nervous laughter at the Oscars when Ricky Gervais joked about the Epstein list?
They're all terrified of Ronan Farrow.
It's true. It's true.
He's coming for you.
Mario Nafal is pointing out that the Oscar rules require diversity quotas for Best Picture nominees. So the Oscars are no longer about the Best Picture, guys. They're about the Best Picture that pitch certain agendas. Yeah, I think they were comparing the Reagan movie that the people that watched it loved it. I don't think it was nominated because it would not have fit this. 30% of the cast has to be from at least two underrepresented groups. They have to include underrepresented racial and ethnic groups in lead roles. So yeah, how are you going to cover the 1980s Reagan administration in a movie? So it's no longer about the best movie. It's about whatever this is. Even storylines must center on underrepresented groups like women, racial minorities, LGBT, people with disabilities to qualify. So you weren't actually watching the best movie yesterday. You're watching the best DEI movie that selectively shuffled the deck, eliminated certain cards, and artificially moved some cards to the top of the deck, and you only had to choose from those movies. That's kind of weird. Elon, yeah, this is messed up. It should just be who's best, not best with an asterisk. I actually got in an argument with somebody. A spirited conversation, rather. And it was when the costume designer for Wicked won an award for costuming. And it's like, oh, okay, cool. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on in there. Pretty good costuming. Watching the acceptance speech, like, yeah, whatever. He's like, and I'm the first black man to win an Oscar for costuming. It's like, nobody cares. And that set this other person off. And they're like, whether you want to believe it or not, that there are groups. I go, you know what? I don't care. I don't care. I care about who was the most deserving person to win the award. I don't care. Oh, I'm the first for this. I'm the first for that. Oh my gosh. The movie of the year has to be only certain. It has to meet strict criteria. We have to artificially create a reality that we're allowed to celebrate instead of just picking the best movie. That's what you used to do. You just pick the best movie. It doesn't matter to me what somebody looks like. I don't care who they sleep with. I don't care how much skin pigment they have. I don't care what country their parents came from. I care about quality of product. If you're an Uber driver, get me safely to where I'm going. If you're an air traffic pilot, get me safely to where I'm going. If you're a military member, let's keep us safe. Do the job. If you're a set designer, crush it on the set. Just all the divisive stuff. I'm just so over it. So anyway, it's interesting that they have diversity quotas for Best Picture nominees. I find that to be kind of interesting. I did like Conan O'Brien, though. He made me laugh. What is this? I don't think this is an exact quote. I don't know if this is, but the reason the FBI wouldn't let the Epstein client list come out in court is because if they did, their blackmail would no longer be useful, and the CIA would lose their powerful control over the powerful people they spent decades setting up, according to Julian Assange. Epstein was an agent of the FBI and the CIA. Maybe. What did Trump say? I will end all the Marxist diversity, equity, and inclusion policies across the entire federal government immediately. In America, we believe in the merit system. Yeah, we used to. So yeah, Anthony Blinken, Victoria Nuland, Susan Rice, and Alexander Vindman. These are some of the worst people. Roger Stone says they advised Zelensky to reject Trump's deal in violation of the Logan Act. AG Pam Bondi should appoint a special counsel to investigate and prosecute. And we said if AG Bondi won't indict Logan Act violations and won't release the Epstein files, Donald Trump needs to go to the bullpen and make a replacement. We've seen enough already. She's just appearing to run cover. Overnight news from Zero Hedge. Zelensky says he's prepared to sign a mineral rights deal with the U.S. and thinks the relationship in Washington can be salvaged. Well, that is unless he's already signed one with somebody else. What else here? Treasury Secretary Bessent will appoint an affordability czar to address high prices. Yeah, get rid of the Federal Reserve and reduce our monetary supply. Create some deflation instead of inflation. Is that such a hard concept to follow? Make our money worth more? That'll lower prices. Howard Lutnick, the Commerce Secretary, says over the weekend is suggesting Mexico-Canada tariffs that will come into effect on Tuesday could be less than the 25% previously mentioned. Pentagon is sending mechanized infantry and air support to help secure the U.S. border with Mexico, including a combat team of about 440 soldiers. Trump is risking losing support from Americans who say he isn't prioritizing the battle against inflation, according to 2 polls. House Speaker Johnson says he wants a clean continuing resolution for the fiscal year through September, according to Punchbowl. A couple China and Singapore things. Mike Lee's asking, what should we call the movement to get America out of NATO? What would you say we should call the movement to get America out of NATO? How about NATOxit? Instead of Brexit, NATOxit. Maybe we can do better. All right, here's more of this rising superstar. Data Republican.
What's one shocking or underreported piece of data that you have uncovered that more people need to know about?
There is around 7,000 NGOs that collect around 90% of taxpayer finances. We pay around $300 billion in government money for nonprofits. And that is a huge percentage of our federal
Anyway, heavily backed by U.S. aid in the State Department, they serve as a uniparty's enforcement arm, pushing propaganda under the guise of protecting democracy. These groups, originally formed during the Cold War, have shifted their mission from spreading democracy abroad to protecting their own power, redefining democracy to mean preserving themselves. Or, as Musk puts it, a threat to democracy really only means a threat to their bureaucracy. That's pretty well said. Yeah, a lot of praise for this data Republican. Folk Hero of the Year just for using your database skills to uncover corruption. There's a new tool now, Dig Deep, Connect the Dots. What is this called? Attila will fix it. What is this called? Beta. People Relations. Search names and uncover how people, entities, and organizations connect. Visualize relationships in an interactive graph and see who's tied to whom, all in a few clicks. Still ironing it out a little bit. Oh, yeah, this is Data Republican. Brian Cates says, you realize what you've done? People can now use this tool to find out exactly how many members of Congress and top officials in the federal government have family members sitting on the boards of all these corrupt NGOs out there. What are you trying to do? Expose how bad the corruption is or something? General Flynn has called the Ukraine funding one giant money laundering operation. Elon says he's not wrong. Yes, here's that car driven into pedestrians. No, a man drives a vehicle. A man allegedly may have attacked a bunch of people in Munich or in Germany right after the other Munich attacks. Hungary just blocked the EU's draft document on security guarantees for Ukraine and military aid, according to Kyiv Post. Article 7 of the Treaty of the European Union is a procedure in the treaties of the European Union to suspend certain rights for a member state. EU can remove Hungary's voting rights, and EU can also stop sending Hungary more money. You can just do things. Hungary can also block an apocalyptic and unnecessary nuclear World War III. They are doing things, I said. This Keir Starmer guy, we need to get rid of him ASAP. Recall him, remove him, vote him out. Starmer says he'll put boots on the ground and planes in the air in Ukraine. Sure you will. Moments later, he says he'll only do so with strong U.S. backing. But Trump has always ruled out U.S. troops in Ukraine. What is Starmer doing? Yeah, I don't trust this guy a bit. We said, what is Starmer doing? Ezra Levant, or what is he doing? Ezra Levant, he allows people to be arrested for text messages, memes, and social media posts in England. Starmer allows his citizens to be neutered by outlawing guns. Starmer allows his country to be invaded by non-citizens. He has no room to lecture. Viktor Orban says European leaders decided in London today they want to go on with the war instead of opting for peace. They decided that Ukraine must continue the war. This is bad, dangerous, and mistaken. Hungary remains on the side of peace. Ceterum censeo. Look, it's a weird day when you lose support, when you lose war support from someone like Lindsey Graham. I have tried very hard to maintain support for the efforts of the Ukrainian people to repel the Russian invasion and have expressed admiration for President Zelensky's leadership during the most difficult times. I, like so many others, can only give advice. It's up to President Zelensky to determine whether or not to take it. Lindsay says, unfortunately, till there's an election, no one has a voice in Ukraine. Laura Ingram's reporting that Senator Lindsey Graham said that perhaps you should, a reporter says, Senator Lindsey Graham said that perhaps you should consider resigning. Zelensky says, Lindsey Graham is a very good guy. I can give him Ukrainian citizenship. Then his voice will gain weight. That was a big middle finger. That was a big middle finger. So yeah, Trump canceling military aid. There's the car attacks. What else? Yeah, I'm very interested to see Trump's address to the joint session of Congress tomorrow night. Tomorrow night will be big. I will tell it like it is. I think that's all I had for today's show. Is there any topic that I have not discussed that you would like me to mention? Trying to see what else is going on here. Mike Barra, he and I will have to do an episode of Strictly Football coming up soon. It is a crazy movie we've been watching, David. But we're not just watching it. We're actors in it. We're participants. That's the cool thing about the internet. I was saying Mike Barra and I will have to do an episode of Strictly Football. A lot of stuff happening prior to the NFL draft. A lot of contracts and trades and releases. A lot of roster moves in the NFL for our Strictly Football show. We'll have to get to that soon. Let me just click on home. Is there anything else that I did not? Babylon B reporting, Trump institutes a military draft for everyone with a Ukraine flag in their Facebook profile. That's satire, but, you know. Maybe we could make it so. Maybe we could. What is this? Oh my God. What are we watching here? Where's the volume? They're beating on these people. Piles of people. Concerned citizen says, look at this crap. Nothing screams democracy like men fleeing their own country only to be captured at the border, kidnapped, conscripted, and packed off to the meat grinder to meet their inevitable demise. Wow. Yeah, Zelensky. U.S. will have to send their sons and daughters to fight, and they will be dying. No, we don't, pal. Now it'll be British troops if Article 5 of NATO is triggered. Keir Starmer said he would deploy them. The European Union and NATO are using the Ukraine war to hold the West ransom. Trump is calling them on it. Here you go. I meant to bring this. I think I brought it up. Is it possible that Ryan Wesley Ruth, the suspect in the second assassination attempt of President Trump, who was reportedly trained in Ukraine, was actually working for the Ukrainian government? This tracks. If Ukraine is actually targeting our president, they are clearly enemies of the state. How can we unravel this? He had a lot of ties to Ukraine, and he tried to kill our president. This report here that University of Illinois revealed that $21 billion earmarked to help American farmers recover from natural disasters under Joe Biden was never even allocated. A grand total of $0 made it to Western North Carolina farmers. Read that again. Yep, here you go. I think Ukraine might be the enemies, guys. Ryan Ruth, the man who tried to kill Trump before the election, is deeply connected to Ukraine's military. And they completely buried this.
Every day in my interactions with everybody, you know, every one of us is responsible for the outcome of this war. Every one of us, you know, by our actions and what we do. And, you know, when I call back home and say, hey, I need $5 so I can, you know, put enough money together to get a vest for a Ukrainian, and I get no response, I'm like, I'm not sure that the world is as wonderful as I once thought it was. I had thought that everyone would respond, very generously and unselfishly, and you don't have to come. But if I asked for $5 to buy a vest to save a Ukrainian life, it seems like that would be a no-brainer. But I increasingly get more disappointed in humanity, and I'm beginning to question whether or not we're going to end up on the right side of this equation.
So you are working with the International Legion.
Yes.
And you are trying to convince people to help, to donate, and to join.
Yeah.
My final question is, what would you say to the people in order to convince them to join the International Legion, or to donate for it, or to be involved in the humanitarian aid to Ukraine?
Right. It's just extremely important, the whole thing. As far as joining the military, yes, if you have some military experience or know people with military experience, encouraging them to come and fight. We have units all over the place. So, there were some leadership issues initially, but we've got so many units available to us: Georgian, Crimean, Ukrainian, Territorial Defense, Foreign Legion. We have, so many paramilitary groups. I put a 74-year-old Japanese guy in a unit. So, we have girls in units. So we have two girls that are in the unit up the street. So any gender, any age, any skill level to no skill level. But yeah, if you want to fight, come here and see me, and I'll put you in a unit so you can go fight.
And then over here on the side, Ryan Ruth even made an appearance in an Azov Battalion ad from 2022. You got to get to the bottom of this. David Frum goes on a bizarre rant about people supporting Trump's actions in the Zelensky meeting. He sounds scared. Well, good. He should be scared. He devoted his life to helping build the forever wars machine, and Trump is about to utterly shit can it. Fingers crossed. Certainly hope so. Bella's Chance says, Cash fires New York head for hiding Epstein evidence. Well, the firing is not a thing that it counts in my book. You need to be arrested and indicted. You don't just fire someone from the job. You indict them. You make an example out of them. You perp walk them. You break into their house at 3 a.m. like you did to Roger Stone with the CNN camera crew. Where are the damn indictments? David Band, thank you for your time. Thank you, everybody, for your questions, jokes, and comments. It's so fun gathering to unpack the news each day with you here on the Agree to Disagree show. We also have the TNAM AM show, and coming soon, probably the TNAM PM show. I'm thinking I want to make a strategic shift from the mornings to the evenings. I'm trying some new things out. So stick with us. We should have a special guest on Thursday coming up. Man, it's only Monday. It feels like it's Friday already. Anybody else? Does it feel like Friday to anybody else? Kind of feels like Friday to me. Anyway, thank you all for being here. Follow us on X at American_media_. Agreed about what? What did I say? Agreed about what, Bella's Chance? As I mentioned, everyone, try to type in full sentences because I don't know what you're responding to. On X, we're at American_media_. Go over there and click like, interact, share some stuff, comment on it. Follow us on Telegram and Signal, TNAM and TNAM Chat, TNAM for the New American Media, TNAM and TNAM Chat. Follow the page for the New American Media on Truth Social, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and Rumble under the New American Media. Get our podcast, The Agree to Disagree Show, on Spotify and iTunes. We're on patreon.com/the New American Media, PayPal at Fuzz Installment, Venmo at Brian Engelman, and Cash App $ Brian Engelman, if anybody would like to support us. But yes, thank you all for being here. We will be back unpacking the news. There's never been a busier news time in my life. That's why I love unpacking the jokes, the memes, the hot takes, the shit takes, all of it. Taking questions, comments. What about this? What about that? Did you consider this? I love this. They say if you do what you love, you'll never work a day in your life. Well, I do love this. So thank you for being here on the New American Media. I'm going to sign out for now. Getting ready for the big speech tomorrow. Yes. Okay. What you're saying, Bella, is that we need to arrest the FBI head. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Big perp walk. Make a big brouhaha out of it. There's a big brouhaha, Jerry. So, yeah, I'm so ready to start seeing arrests. Oh, a couple comments here, and then I'll go with this. John Lloyd Sharf, real quick. He says, I think climbing uphill in hip waders on a mountain of human feces against deep state bureaucrats is the job for superheroes. I mean, yeah. Data Republican, Elon Musk, Donald Trump, Tulsi Gabbard, RFK Jr., Kash Patel, Pam Bondi, you got to show me something. I am deeply disappointed in your lack of success. Deeply disappointed in you. But yeah, it is a superhero job. Johnson, yes, you need to end questioning about race on government forums. We're supposed to judge a man by the content of his character or woman. And John also says, put Dan Bongino on checking for government deep state bureau criminals. Yes. Unleash the hounds. Unleash the hounds. Release the Kraken. Bring it. Let's go. We got one chance to save this republic. It's right now, people. We're 5 weeks in. I feel like we're behind schedule. I know we're ahead of schedule because nobody's ever moved this fast in an administration before, but I feel behind schedule. I feel like we could have done a lot in the last 2 weeks, and I don't feel like we have. It's okay. It's okay. But like, there was a thought like, oh, now the election's over. We don't have to do as many shows, or maybe we shouldn't be doing shows, or I don't know, maybe I'll do other stuff. And, you know, I heard that from somewhere, but I said, oh my gosh, we finally have a chance to fix some of this. What was it on Quantum Leap? You have the chance to set right what once went wrong. That's very hard to say. To set right what once went wrong. It's a really hard phrase to say. We got one chance. You better lose yourself in the music the moment you own it. You better never let it go. You only get one shot. Do not miss a chance to blow. This opportunity comes once in a lifetime, yo. So I'm going 7 days a week, and I'm active on these other social media sites all day long. Join us. Join us. While we unpack the news. All right. I'm signing out for real this time. Until next time, I appreciate you. I love you. Hit like, hit subscribe, join us and all that stuff. Share our show with some of your smart friends and say, hey, follow us when you get the chance. And I'll talk to you later. Take care. Peace, everyone.